All right. Now we're going live. You're live. Okay. Finally, we're live. Whew. Wow, that took some time. All right. Some technical glitches that I had. YouTube is a little bit more difficult to set up, but we are live finally. So this is the left one. Okay, a little late to the party, but that's okay. Okay, so I have my phone. Let's see if I can see the stream. Yes, we are live. Okay, great. Oh, I can see on the video. All right, great. All right, let's do this. So we are live. My first VR Essentials live stream on Facebook. Do leave your, oh, there's a light there in the front. So let me get rid of that. Sorry about that. Middle there. All right, it should be out of the way. Okay, there we go. So we are doing Oculus Connect Day 2. Please do check out the part 1 summary video that I did uploaded today. Welcome to the live stream if you're watching after the live stream. And also welcome to you if you're joining me now. So let's go and check out Oculus VEnues first. And I have my phone with me, so if you have any questions, do talk below, and I will be more than happy to answer. All right, yes. Join. Allow access. Allow. All right. We are 40 minutes late. Oh my God. Never mind. YouTube technical glitches. It happens.
Welcome to Oculus VEnues. You're about to experience an incredible live event with people from all over the world. But first, there are a few things you need to keep in mind.
So Oculus VEnues, for those that don't know, is a place where you can watch events live. But the quality of the streaming, though, yesterday was very poor. Facebook, generally speaking, is not the best content provider for anything to do with VR 360. YouTube VR is definitely much higher quality, as well as VR, where you can download VR 360 content. So it's the first time I'm loading Oculus VEnues with this headset, which is why I have this. I have to go through the video, never mind. Code of contact, yes, no problem. We won't throw any popcorn on anyone. I promise. I promise I won't. Not today, anyway. New avatar. Oh, okay, right. I gotta do this thing. Can I just go? All right, and continue. Join crowd.
Things like change the 3D environment or a 360 photo.
So, chat volume I put down. Okay, there we go. Done. Thanks for watching. Continue watching. Yes, join. What happened? Did I, by mistake, leave the app? Join the crowd. Let's go.
VR on doing some specialized players for some of their content, and everybody is just really amazed at how good this can look, even at bit rate that's amenable for stream.
Ah, it's because I clicked exit. Jesus. Oculus Venue, can you please do something about this? It should say exit app, not just exit.
Our user base on on Quest, half the people have 40 plus megabits, and like a quarter of the people have 80 plus megabits streaming to our headsets.
All right, there we go.
And that's with a very conservative estimate.
All right, so we're joining a little bit late. Sorry about that. Let's do this.
So there's possibility of streaming, exquisitely high quality content to our existing headsets. We are not right now close to even saturating our displays in most cases. So there's a lot more that can be done there. Now, there are so many applications that are sort of thin wrappers around a little bit of immersive media, and that does seem fairly wasteful because none of them do the things right, almost none of them do things right in terms of getting it on layers and getting the sRGB sampling and all the picky little things there. And it does feel like we want to move towards a world where more of that is done in the web, where the web browser experience is better UI than practically every third-party application. It is on a layer with sRGB filtering at the right pixel scale, and if you make a web UI, it's just going to look better than whatever you cobble together in Unity. But right now, the options for playing the immersive video is just not so great on the web. There's the web VR players that people kind of use as a standard, really do none of the things right in terms of all of the high-quality things. So they work, but it's not the quality experience that I want to put forward. So I want us to do more of that natively in our browser. But I've been told by a number of people that the web standards communities get really defensive and up in arms at adding sort of web tag extensions by specific vendors, and if we just go make Oculus-specific extensions, here, play this immersive video, automatically switch to the right projection, do everything right, and it's a magic Oculus tag, that they will be mad at us, and we might even be shunned from future standards bodies stuff, and we have to just go through this long, slow standardization process. And not a lot of progress has been made on that. So that's been frustrating for me because I'm sort of the, just go make it happen, get her done, and we'll sort it out later.
So we're here in Oculus VEnues. I have to say that compared to yesterday, I think they may have changed the camera because the camera they used yesterday to do the VR 360 streaming was really poor quality. But today it seems to be fairly better, but not superbly better, I have to say. So you can see all the people here around me. We're all sharing this experience in a virtual theater, which is pretty cool. Not many people here tonight compared to yesterday. Yesterday was almost completely filled. And then he's talking about his experience of web browsing and how frustrated he is. So it sounds like he's complaining a little bit. But all right. Let's just continue listening, and then later we're going to go into big screen, YouTube VR, see whether Marcus tonight is doing a live stream or not on YouTube, and then we'll also go into big screen and check it out.
I think is a shame because rooms can run like on Quest with the Gear VR or the Go emulation. A number of people find some value in it, but it's not showing any significant growth. It's trailing down, and they want to focus efforts on the kind of the larger bets for things. But other things that are social in terms of kind of breaking the isolation of VR, and I'm still the champion of the power of isolation. I like isolation for a lot of things, but it's kind of the antithesis of the Facebook message of bringing people together. So we keep firing these social bullets at things.
I'm actually completely against isolation. I think VR is not an isolating experience whatsoever. I think the fact that we're here, we're with other people around, I mean, I'm at home, yes, there's no one home. My wife lives in China, but I'm with people. I don't feel like I'm alone. And I didn't get into VR so that I can escape the reality to be alone. I went into VR because it provides alternative solutions in terms of wandering through different worlds, meeting different people, connecting with others all over the world, and finding collaboration. I mean, I've met so many people through VR. If it wasn't for VR, I don't know if I'd met so many people, especially the last 2, 3 months, 4 months. So I don't agree with this isolation thing.
We've made a lot of progress on casting. And in fact, I ran into some people that were still thinking the way casting was a year ago, barely working in various ways. There have been a couple rounds of improvements for things. We have we've improved the quality in a few different ways, but we still have a lot more that we can do here. Like during my app reviews, we randomly lose casting a couple times during that. It has some kinds of reliability problems. There's still more latency and more quality loss than we'd like to have. There's other options like Miracast that we're looking at, the possibility.
Casting is definitely an issue with the Oculus Quest, I have to say. You can use Google Cast, and then use the mirror function on the Google Cast. I'll do a video on that, so do subscribe and click the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload that video. And I also do events for corporate people. Here in Singapore, I have a business called vrparties.sg. You can visit the website. So And sometimes they want a plasma screen, and different plasma screens have different settings. So Google Cast isn't so easy to set up also compared to Apple TV, which is so easy. I wish Oculus would work with Apple. I mean, I haven't tried Apple TV and see if it works, but if it worked, it would be fantastic, although it's an Android device, so I don't think it will. But I mean, the Oculus Quest is run by an Android-powered chip, or technology. So Apple TV makes things so easy. Google Cast makes it really tough. So I completely agree that casting is something you need to work on.
Exactly where you want them to be. You know, we have some other neat effects now, like the ability to, from the companion app, launch applications for them. It's like, hey, look at this. And kind of going back to what I was saying about load times, imagine those sessions when you're working on your title. You've made something cool, you want people to show it. Let's say somebody's in a room showing all of their friends VR. They say, hey, I'm launching this awesome game. And then you have to sit there and make small talk while they're sitting there, you know, for a minute sometimes to get the game loaded into where it's actually new and interesting. We have some neat new features with deep linking that can send people to specific places in the games. So we can do this from our Explorer feed or from various web links, which is another nice thing that kind of gets you into things faster. And related to that, about the value of people being able to show other people VR, I saw a tweet that said this that I thought was really kind of pithy and true, where they said, AR looks better in videos than in real life, but VR looks better in real life than in videos. And I think that you know, all of us that have actually used headsets of different kinds like that, there's some real truth to that, where the magical world that you know, that Michael Abrash always talks about, our future of the AR headsets and the holographic workers and everything there, that's not what AR actually looks like today when you try on the headsets. And everybody's seen cool game trailers about gameplay on flat screens, and honestly, a lot of the VR games look less impressive than your modern console games. But you put someone in the headset experiencing that, and it's a really different thing. So productivity side of things.
That's really true. In terms of graphics inside the Oculus, it's still not there. Although there are a few titles that, quite honestly, they've done an amazing job, like Star Wars and Red Matter. But when you go into an experience in VR, even when the graphics are low polygons, so nothing is really super smooth, it's just amazing. I mean, even picking up a ball or a sphere, throwing it out, it's just really, really awesome, really cool.
And read off, and then there are some specific training things that it's like, go find this part, go put this part here, pull this breaker there, that work very well with the Quest controllers. So there are, you know, there's a good-sized ecosystem of real companies that are serving real customers and, you know, and having a great deal of value. I was super excited to see that stat in the keynote about the surgery readiness rates in VR training versus non-VR training. There's some real value to be had there. Now, I had written a remote desktop application a couple years ago and did a lot of experiments with that early on. I'm actually really happy with the commercial remote desktop app available on Go and Quest. When I say like 99 out of 100 apps don't do the right thing for quality presentation, that's one of the ones that does do the right things for it. That's up on a layer, using the super sampling. Every time I put in some neat new option like high quality distortion mesh, it was immediately used there. Lots of options and configurations, so that's really nice. We have a lot of work internally going on to try to automate or to make virtual meetings. You know, I'm in Dallas. Most of the company is in Menlo Park or Seattle and London, all these other places. So we live a lot on video conferences, and they're often not a great experience. There's a lot of value that we can imagine saying, my normal thing is I've got somebody projecting their desktop there, and then everybody else is scrunched down to this tiny little mess of pixels, and I don't even recognize people when I actually meet them at OC6 because, oh, you were those 64 pixels that I saw in the video conference all the time. But if we can get to this point where you get the big screen here for what you're looking at, but you have large views of the other people on conventional video conferencing there, and then you may have other people actually joining in VR with avatars. I think there's some real value there. There's a little more debate over what the value of actual collaborative productivity work is, where that's sort of the science fiction high fidelity future of, well, we're all going to work together in VR, but I kind of fall back onto my isolation introvert thing where I don't so much want to do that, and it's not clear that going to the places where you're expecting everybody to wear a VR headset is necessarily the best bet. But we are running those experiments and starting to dog food them.
Oh, sorry about that. I wanted to change the shirt of the avatar. Oh, this is new. Now I can see the face moving of my avatar. This is me, by the way, in the world of Facebook. So, yeah. All right. How do I change the clothing? There we go. Change the clothing. All right, let's do something a bit funky. Nice. Yeah, that is good. Save and continue. All right.
A thing I ran into relatively recently, I had just finally gotten my last Expert SS on OST 1 and 2 on Beat Saber. I'm like, I'm going to record my kind of brag scoreboards and then upload it to Twitter. But it turns out, well, you can't actually have a file browser inside inside our browser right now, so you can't go and find something. So that's a clear case. If we're going to be doing productivity things, you have file management that you need to do. You need to push things around. So there's a lot of different things there. Now, on the user experience, just kind of the general purpose side of things, there's still hundreds and hundreds of things to fix. And I swear I think a lot of people just tune me out now when I write these long lists of like all the nitpicky little details and things that should be getting better. I encourage everyone to use the user voice website. We really do look at that, and it lends so much more credibility to my arguments when I can say 500 people also think this is a good idea.
Okay, I'm just going to exit for a second because you can see my Guardian. This is the virtual wall. So if I go out of that, you see this is the virtual wall. So let me just change that. Let me go to settings, Guardian. I could do stationary, but I'm going to do room scale. Okay, and then I'm just going to draw around me. Okay, that's okay. Continue. So because I'm sitting down, I'm going to go to my settings, see all. Going to go to my Guardian. I could choose to go on 3 depth of field, which means that I just watch by tilting my head, but I can't actually walk in virtual reality. Because I'm sitting down, it would make sense to do that, but I do like tilting with my head from time to time. That really feels nice. So, room scale sensitivity advanced, headset really low, controllers really low. There we go. And then later, before I stand up, I will change the settings again. Okay, join, accept and continue.
And violently when possible, make things happen, aim for things changing on the next frame. You want it to feel like a crisp video game, not some, laggy application that will eventually get around to responding to what you've asked it to do. Some of the other things that have been improved, the Guardian is a problem for that pass-around VR side of things, where I do wish that we could, if you put it on quickly, we'd just put the kind of the baseline, the kind of the floor outline of things out. But we've made some improvements. The pass-through plus is a nice change where early on, again, we had some people thinking that the pass-through video was going to be deeply uncomfortable, that it would make people instantly sick because it's coming from, the cameras are down here, not where your eyes are. And when you're putting that up there, everything has this shrunken down.
So pass-through camera, he's talking about the sensors on the camera, which allow you to basically see outside of the Quest. They're going to have a new function where you press a button and you can see outside without having to remove your headset. At the moment, you can see outside if you have, for example, your Guardian. So I just switched off the sensitivity, which is why you can't see the wall anymore. And if you put your head outside, then you could, outside the digital wall, the virtual wall, you can see. So that's what he's talking about, pass-through.
Something that it's great as a consumer device that people actually use. Battery life and battery management starts becoming a real issue. And just this morning, for some reason, I got up to play around with Beat Saber in my hotel, as people do, and my battery was dead on my right controller. So something was wrong there. I don't know if it was kind of resting against the trigger or something, and something kept it alive. But there are still clearly things that need to get better there. And it was.
So he's talking about the batteries inside the remote. It's very important that you take out your batteries after you switch off your Oculus, because for some kind of reason, the batteries, the remote is still on. So your batteries, the next time you go in, if it's like a day or two later, it might be dead. And I'm having so many problems with that. Like I keep forgetting to take them out. Thankfully, I bought so many different rechargeable batteries. I have the photo gear, the lapel mic and everything. It's all, powered with batteries as well. Just a tip there, just make sure you take out your batteries of your remotes, your touch controllers.
The value of that, we should be making this really high priority to smooth all those things out. And there's stuff like that we want very much. Like you should be able to have, people talk about you're isolated from your phone when you're in the VR headset. Obviously, we would like you to be able to have your phone in VR, but it's not clear how we go about doing that. We would need cooperation from phone vendors to be able to cast the entire screen up there and to work. Maybe there's a way that we can just get notifications forwarded or some kind of halfway situation, but eventually in the robust future VR world, you expect to be able to do everything that you do on your phone. I mean, eventually we expect AR to replace phones in many ways, but we've got this intermediate period where hopefully people will be spending large amounts of time in VR and their phones are important. We need to find some way to surface that stuff in there. So I'll probably run out the rest of the time sort of running down the hardware decision tree.
I think what's interesting in terms of phones is, yes, we need our phones in our pocket or in our hands. But, in the future, if someone calls you and you have a VR headset on or whatever kind of headset you have on, then you can actually see the call, and then you can choose, maybe you could meet up in a virtual room where you see the person's body and face. We just went through yesterday's keynote where they're experimenting on visual tracking for the face. You can have a whole body with your entire face mapped out in 3D within a 3D environment that's been mapped out by your device in your house. So, we could actually have virtual calls in virtual places, and then, or we could just have, the call comes in if we're watching something, we don't want to go into the room with that person, we can just speak to them naturally through the device without actually using a phone.
Until not too long before launch, where there was real worries about, is this even good enough to ship? But more progress gets made, and then updates get made, and it turns out really good. And in general, in a lot of these cases, I tell people that there are directions that we could be taking with sensor configurations that I think would be valuable, but a lot of times the tracking teams are a little hesitant because it's scary to kind of take on some of these challenges. But I have a lot of faith in our ability to get these things worked out once we just say, all right, this is what we've got, we're going to make it work, and we're going to just kind of keep grinding on it until it is good enough. Now, all the things that you can put in, they're obviously not without cost. You can't just say, well, I want all of these, because you've got price is an issue. I mean, we have some signal on price point where I thought Quest price was going to be more of a detriment relative to Go, but there's the questions of, is this just because we're still selling to the early adopter enthusiasts? I still tend to believe that getting back down to a cheaper price point is really important when we want to have really mass market broad adoption. But we have a few of these signals that for the people that are currently buying our headsets, a little bit more cost might not be that big of a deal. Like we had Gear VR went up when we included the controller, didn't make a difference. More people buy the higher memory SKU of Go than they do the lower memory, and Quest is selling quite well. But there are also the problems of kind of the opportunity cost of when you put something in, where there's this thinking initially that, hardware is hard, software goes quickly, and that's not always the case. When you get into this, when you're dealing with big systems like computer vision or how you deal with the device drivers in the operating system layer, it was it was an eye-opener for me a few years ago when we were working on early versions of the computer vision tracking. I was doing some experimental work on the PC, and I said, well, if somebody will put together something on mobile for me to work with, that would be great. And one of the EEs actually did cobble some Frankenstein thing together on a Gear VR case that gave me the cameras, and then it turned out that I didn't actually have time to go do the software to actually use it. So we have some of these cases where we have built some headsets that have not been fully exploited because we have not been able to get the software bandwidth to come around and actually take full advantage of the hardware. And then we're still eking out a lot more performance for things on the hardware that we have. I mean, there is actually a lot of, not exactly low-hanging fruit, but there's still fruit to be picked on all of our tracking things on Quest. And I expect it will continue to get better over the rest of its lifetime. So some of the biggest questions that you have is where you split the architecture. We have put everything in the front, which is the most manufacturable, the cheapest, generally easiest way to set things up, but it makes it front heavy. It can exacerbate cooling problems, and it can have some other challenges where you can imagine wanting to put it in back. Like our very first Proto Quest headset had a big puck on the back with a fan and a heatsink and everything sticking out of it. But the headset was very light. It didn't have any guts up there, so there's some value there. And we continuously talk about, do you put the battery in back? And you'd think, oh, it's just a couple pennies of wire that you have to do to wire it back there. But it's surprisingly impactful on the whole design to do that. Then there's a question of, do you do a split design? Do you have, whether it's a phone or a compute puck of some kind that you have wired down to sit in your pocket, or completely wireless, something where you have just enough processing on the headset to be able to do essentially remote rendering from your pocket? There's trade-offs for all that. The most obvious question for virtual reality is the display questions, where at one level you've got single display or dual display. That impacts whether you can cant the displays. You can get more field of view if you can if you've got wide enough area that it doesn't become really obvious that you're stealing overlap. You can cant the lenses and get more peripheral vision in. If you've got two displays, you can make a nice, clean, interaxial adjustment system where you can still do that on a single screen, where you can still go ahead and have the screen under there and move the lenses on top of that. But that adds some complexity, and if you go to an extreme area, you start trading off your field of view at the end, where you don't have enough pixels to be able to keep sliding it. While if it was two completely separate displays, you've got a lot more options there. Then you've got the question of LCD versus OLED, and we've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth on this across our different products, where LCD is generally cheaper and denser. There are more systems using LCDs. You can generally get a little bit higher pixel density. The OLEDs tend to cheat a little bit with the pentile layouts. They have some other reasons to do that, for like blue sub-pixel lifespans. But in general, if you want the highest resolution, you probably get an LCD. The backlights can be brighter, so you've got more opportunity for doing possible high dynamic range things if you have kind of a segmented backlight. And they can be, you may be able to get faster refresh rates in some cases, and subdivided backlights can get back the latency.
Okay, so Oculus VEnues, by the way, the event is completely live, so there would be no latency in terms of what's going on. Now let's go to big screen first. So let me go and find my big screen. Did I forget to? Oh, ho, ho. All right, let me go home. I don't think I installed big screen on this device. So let's just go to the store very quickly. I will download it. And whilst I download it, we will go to YouTube VR. So let me just do a search, and then let me type. Is it there? No, it's not there. Okay. Big screen beta. There we go. And big screen is completely free. Oh, okay. Install. Yes. So I did not install it here. So whilst we do that, did I install that YouTube VR on this device? Because the other device, by the way, my ADB told me that it was unauthorized. I have found out why. It was because the cable I was using wasn't Unfortunately, it didn't like the cable, and then when I changed the cable, it authorized my my Oculus to work on the ADB. So now I can transmit wirelessly this Oculus Quest onto the PC, which then goes to my software, and you can see it. Okay, let's just use the browser for now. Let's go to YouTube. And then let's look for Remarcus' channel. Let's see if he's live tonight. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning here in Singapore, or maybe 2 o'clock now. So it's pretty late, so I'm very sorry if I sound a little bit tired. I've been up since 8 a.m. and last night I did a cast also until about 4 a.m. and then...
Even all Remarcus here, back again with another video, back again with another Oculus Quest and Oculus Go.
Worked on the video. It doesn't look like tonight he's doing a live video. Okay, so let's go back to the library. Let's see if my apps have installed. Let's go to notification. Still 17%. Okay. Let's go back to the browser. So we can just type. So I'm using the browser for YouTube, but I'll show you what it looks like YouTube VR. So Oculus Connect. Up, go. So this is the highlights. Day 2. Just wondering if my video, I have to type, I think 6. See if it lists. Let's go back. Okay, there we go. It's very hard when you're starting a new YouTube channel. Things don't get listed. It was earlier listed, but it seems that it's not listed, my video. So it's a great shame that do check out the video I posted earlier today. It's just really there we go, it's here. Well, it's at the bottom. It says full views. Let's see how many views it had. So let's just do a recap.
Hello, bonjour, comment ça va? And welcome back to VR Essentials. My name is Lazius K, and we talk about the practical uses of VR. Oof, that's right. All right, Connect is on. The future is now. VR is developing. Extremely, very exciting. Let's put the clock down. Let's try and do this under 5 minutes if we can. Here's a summary of what happened in part 1 yesterday. So the first big news is the fact that hand tracking is going to be available on the Oculus Quest starting next year, which is, wow, really incredible. We're going to be able to use our hands to manipulate objects, to press on things. I mean, that is really huge. We don't have to use our controllers anymore, and it's going to feel more natural. Of course, haptics are going to have to come out, so that means gloves will probably follow, sometime after that. But it's going to be very cool for training people in companies, or also operating machinery from the other end of the world. The second really cool announcement is Oculus Link, which basically means that you'll be able to use your Oculus Quest with your PC. Why is that big? I mean, why? What's the point of using our PC? Isn't the whole point to be wireless? Well, it opens more doors. It means that we can use more content from the PC, which is not at the moment available on the wireless device. So this is really, really awesome. Does it mean whether we can use Steam VR, because Steam has so much more content? That remains to be seen, or whether we're only able to use the apps provided by the Oculus, which run on the Oculus Rift and Rift S at the moment. Number 3, so the other thing that they're coming up with is Pass-Through Plus, which basically enables you to see the outside world with a click of a button, which is actually really useful. Because at the moment, the only way to see the outside world, when you put your Quest on for the very first time, you have to create a Guardian. So the Guardian is there as a wall, as a virtual wall, so you don't bump into something. But sometimes we do want to be able to see what's going on outside. Maybe there's a noise or there's something, and we don't necessarily want to remove the headset. So Pass-Through Plus will enable you to actually, with a click of a button, see the outside world. So that's pretty cool. The other big announcement is Facebook Horizon, which is basically a social media app for Facebook users. So you can connect with your other friends on Facebook, in Facebook Horizon on the VR, and play games with them, create worlds with them, and do a lot of fun things. So, however, there is already competition with VR Chat, which is extremely popular. Altspace is also another platform that we trust a lot. There's a very good community over there, specializes more in the virtual meetings. And of course, Rec Room, which is all about team building and playing games within a social environment with your friends as well. So is Facebook Horizon gonna really offer something new for people to use? Also, we don't know, we don't really trust Facebook with our details and our privacy and all these things. So it's going to remain to be seen, but of course it's good that it's there. Will it become the next oasis of virtual reality like Ready Player One, a video game where you can go and teach and learn and go to school in VR or have a job in VR or all these kind of different things? So remains to be seen, but very interesting announcement. Another cool development in the world of VR at Connect 6 is something more geared towards developers and content creators, with the launch of Media Studio, which basically is a platform that's going to act as a distribution channel where content creators who specialize in VR can publish it at a click of a button. One of the potentially really game changer of the technology that Facebook and Oculus are working with is another team that they purchased called Control Labs. And what they're doing is they're developing technology where you can wear something on your arm, and just with the power of thought, you can then start to move objects in virtual reality. Now, this is really huge, especially for people who, maybe can't use their hands, they're paralyzed, or they're missing a limb or something, or this is really massive, and also, of course, for normal people too, so that we can use our body parts to do other things whilst we're thinking, and we can actually move things in virtual reality space. One other cool thing that they're working on is reconstruction technology, which basically enables to map out the inside of your home, either using your Oculus Quest or perhaps another device, and then it gets remodeled in 3D. So, that's pretty amazing without having to actually be a coder or an animator or a modeler or of any kind. It just does it automatically for you, and then you can go into other people's homes in the virtual world. So that's going to open up a lot of games, especially for real estate. You're going to be able to buy and sell space that's already made, just like in the real world, but in the virtual world. And of course, it's going to be very good for training. So, for example, you can model a burning tower or a hospital or a workplace even, and then your staff from your company could go there in the virtual and completely train within the environment even before the actual building's been built, or if they're living far away, or if they simply cannot access the facilities for whatever reason, or to create spaces to give that additional augmented training that they may not have had if they weren't able to build a space physically, because it would just take too long or perhaps just be too costly. So, reconstructing technology, really cool. Facial recognition with emotions. So you're actually able to go in VR, and the camera of the Oculus Quest would be able to scan your face. So when you're inside virtual reality, if you look like you're laughing, smiling, you're sad, you're angry, whatever, it will pick up those emotions and it will transfer them into the virtual world with a 3D rendered map of your entire face. So your real self will be seamless in the virtual self. You look exactly the same. Another big news is Beat Saber VR 360 with Panic at the Disco volume. Beat Saber, of course, is one of the world's most popular fitness apps. I really believe that in a few years from now, there will be Beat Saber classes where people will join. There'll be 30 headsets with a main teacher, and it's going to be in 360. You're going to be doing the whole shebang and really getting your cardio out and pumping your heart in 360. So that's really, really awesome. Really looking forward to that. Okay, so this was an overview of our body parts to do.
Alright, so as you can tell, the quality of the stream is really good. I'm actually quite far away from my router. Okay, let's go to notifications. This big screen is still downloading. Okay, let's go back on YouTube VR. Day 2.
The core system on a chip that we use. Now, I know we've been dinged in reviews sometimes for why do we use somewhat obsolete chips, where we used an 820 for Go and an 835 for Quest, and people say it's like, oh, but that's last year's or year before last cell phone in some case. Why aren't we on the actual state of the art? And I think we, again, made the right call to go ahead and be a little bit back where we had enough problems bringing up our very first VR operating system, dealing with all the custom stuff that we had to do. Working with something that's not bleeding edge gave us some slack, and we were able to deliver, what we needed to there. But we've got a skilled team now that's been around the block a few times with it, and I think it's likely we will be closer to the state of the art in the future. The trade-offs that you can make, you've got all the vendors for it, where on Gear VR, we always had to support Qualcomm and Exynos because Samsung always dual-sourced so that they could never be really over a barrel if a supplier had a problem in a particular generation. And we can look at Qualcomm, Exynos, cheaper places like MediaTek and some of the other specialty silicon places. But we have a great relationship with Qualcomm. I'm really happy working with them. I think I advocate certainly for us to be sticking with Qualcomm for a while. The question that ties into that, though, is how much custom silicon we want to do, where there's always things that you can say, well, computer vision things in particular and various neural network accelerations, we could specify silicon to say, this is exactly what we want. We can go ahead and make this like 10 times more power efficient than doing it even on the GPU or DSP in some cases. So there's massive gains to be had there. But the pipeline for that is so long, it's a matter of...
So I'm just going to turn off my air conditioning, which is blowing into my face and making me cough.
And I've always been pretty hesitant about that because, like, our algorithms and things, we're changing these things even after we've shipped them. I don't think...
Oh. Okay, we're back.
And lost in translation.
Versus just doing more samples is a little bit less clear cut, but we'll probably still eventually have something from that. Other possible options are waveguide displays, what people use for the AR displays, where like somebody was showing me an AR display yesterday, and the problem with AR is that most of the time, again, it looks better in the videos than it does in real life. You can't see anything until you look down at the black floor to give it enough of a backdrop to be able to kind of make out the quality, but they are extremely high resolution. They don't have a lot of field of view, but you could imagine VR displays using kind of the largest possible waveguide display is just blacked out on the back and giving you an extremely high density display in a very lightweight system as well. So that ties in with optics, where waveguides...
So you can see the quality of the stream is also very good. YouTube VR really do a great job.
You've got a lot of options from single Fresnel lenses, doublets, multi-pass optics. And you can see some of the differences, like PSVR they use lenses that give them a nice broad eye box, and it's very forgiving of exactly where you have it on. But they have a relatively low resolution display, so they don't need to worry as much about crispness. But there's a lot of subtleties, like in the Fresnel lenses, little issues about how you cut the angles on the side of it. Like, you should be able to recognize that our current generation Fresnels in Go and Rift S are substantially better for the glare effects than the original Rift lenses. You know, the original Rift lenses, you'd see the Unreal Engine logo come up and it's just spraying light reflections everywhere all over the place. And it's not perfect now, but it is improved. Field of view, mostly determined by the optics, is one of the things that some people don't appreciate the trade.
Okay, so big screen is installing now. Let's go to my library. I want to see if YouTube VR has installed. Store. Okay, so big screen is installing now. Let's go to the library. Is installing, okay. So we're just installing big screen. Sorry about that, I forgot to install it before.
You still have to render that to your eye buffer and make a trade-off. For immersive media, like I was mentioning for the possible Gear VR thing, that works pretty well because you've got all the stuff already there, and it's pretty straightforward to just pick the pixels that you want.
Okay, so still installing, okay. Okay, we just wait a while.
But if you're rendering it directly and you say that all of a sudden you need a 2K by 2K buffer to get decent pixel fidelity for a 120 wide FOV, then you've spent a whole lot of performance for a somewhat mediocre gain from it. Clarity across the field is something that we've made a lot of good strides relative to, again, the older Gear VR systems. Right in the middle, you could read some of the text, but just kind of pushing it off to the side, it would be more out of focus and hard to resolve the text, while our current lenses are,
Well, I have to say, Big Screen Beta has taken a while to install. Generally, it installs pretty fast.
pretty good for that, but there's still quite a bit that can be done there to make things that are crisp across the entire field of view. But then you often trade off about having a very precise eye box, needing to get your eyes in exactly the right place to make this, whatever other optics characteristics you're looking for. And I do tend.
So he's talking about the lenses and the optics technology used to develop, of course, make comfort and the visuals as best as possible.
To think that I comment that people put on the headsets differently practically every time. If you just, even for the same person, you have them put on the headset 5 times and you take video of it, it'll be crooked and canted in different ways, and it's not giving people a great kind of positioning. We have the adjustment for the IPD for the user, but I suspect most people don't even have that in the right place, and half the time it probably doesn't matter because the headset's not not settled on their face in exactly the same way. And so one thing that I would like to see eventually is when we make really lightweight headsets, I think what we need is actually nose pieces, just like glasses have. I mean, if you had your prescription glasses and they were just in ski goggles and they were kind of mashed around at random places on your head, it wouldn't work nearly as well as something that registers onto your nose in some place.
Come on, big screen! Ah, finally! All right, let's log into big screen and go to the Oculus Connect there. I went in yesterday, they had a special room, so hopefully tonight they also have a room, and it was really nice to be with other people. I hope you don't see a refresh wheel turning on your screen, because I can see one on my phone. The stream seems to be working quite well. There's not much latency between where I am and exit tutorial, thank you. Is it my avatar? No, it's not. Okay, anyway, just want to change my eyes. At least I look normal. All right, and the rest I don't care, I'll do later. Because I'm loading it for the first time from here. Let's go to Oculus Connect. 28 people watching. Ooh. I hope there's space in the room.
If you're on the Oculus Quest or Rift or whatever you're on, does your frequency change to like from 5 to 2?
What the riff? Well,
So,
links. Like another thing that I was kind of surprised to learn is that you essentially don't drop packets over Wi-Fi, which sounds,
see, this is pretty amazing. We're with people there. We muted them, but they're talking together. Hi, Lafarge. All right, let's watch this thing.
and we offer maybe a little plug-in dongle or some kind. You know, there are a lot of these little Wi-Fi things you just sit on your USB port. And if we do something like that with custom firmware changes, then we can make a super high quality Wi-Fi experience. So I'm pretty excited about that direction. And then we always get asked about 5G. You know, how's 5G going to impact VR? And mostly that comes from a pull from the 5G vendors want some, you know, magic, cool, awesome hook for why you need 5G. And really, it's just more bandwidth. You know, it's just like a good Wi-Fi connection that you've got everywhere. You know, you could lean in and have really awesome immersive video streaming at high bit rates rather than kind of the lower rates that we force for things right now. There's things you could do, but it doesn't have a unique quality to it. It's just a better pipe, and you know, they're in kind of a tough situation trying to make it magical and new when it's just X more bandwidth. The cameras that you can put on there are probably the biggest architectural decision, where we have the whole range from, like, PSVR has one camera looking at you. The Microsoft mixed reality systems have 2 wide-angle cameras. Quest has 4 cameras. Rift S has 5 cameras. Qualcomm actually made a custom version of their SoCs for targeting AR/VR, you know, the XR1 and 2 line of chips. And they're supporting like 12 or 13 cameras, some huge number going in. But you can actually run through that number pretty quick if you're, you know, if you think about it. You want 5 tracking cameras, maybe 2 eye tracking cameras, 2 cameras for face tracking, 2 color cameras for mixed reality pass-through, 1 dedicated depth sensing camera. You know, it all adds up. And I do tend to think that that sort of spider eye VR headset is probably not the best direction to be going for things. They're not free. They're not massless. You know, they take work and effort to wind up making them do all the things that you want them to do for the reasons that you put them in there. But there's legitimate questions about exactly how many cameras, where I always thought it's likely that kind of the end state of this is probably 2 wide-angle cameras. But you know, my Beat Saber habit might be encouraging me to have more cameras for better hand tracking or better controller tracking. As a little side note about that, one of the things early on that was an important decision for Quest is when we were deciding how we were going to set up all the cameras, there was the question of how you angle all of them. And for optimal controller tracking, having all of the cameras pointing in essentially different directions gives you the broadest chance of being able to pick up a controller in any given place. But I was fairly insistent on I wanted binocular overlap to be able to do, you know, to make hand tracking better and to be able to do some of the possible mixed reality things there. And for a while, it was looking like we probably weren't going to do hand tracking on Quest. So I'm really happy now that we did decide to push ahead on that, and lots of work has gone into kind of getting that to the state that it is now. And very much like our controller tracking, we can expect that to continuously get better through the kind of the life of the product. What this does mean that because we have the 2 cameras pointing generally forward instead of fully angled out, there are probably like 1% lower scores in Beat Saber or something are due to the cameras not being optimally positioned there. You know, when you swing back, it coasts for like 3 seconds or so. When you're out of view, you've got this period where it's just keeping track of it before it gives up. And if you bring it back in, it's going to do well. But you know, there's going to be those edge cases where it wasn't quite fast enough, and then it takes a long time to reacquire when it comes back in and you've missed something. That's another one of the areas where, again, we have still fruit to be picked to make these things better. Quest is not in its final form for optimization, where when you finally do bring a controller back into view, it takes quite a few frames for it to decide that those little spots are the controller and grab it. It is conceivable that we could be grabbing the controllers in a single frame acquisition if it's fitting in our model of roughly where it might be. There are aspects of when when you have the controller like doing the bow and arrow pose right here and it's failing because it can't see any of the dots, there are things that we could be looking at on the curve of the controller ring there to be able to estimate where its pose is and get it close enough. Right now we have to trade off between we have a choice of either running the hand tracking or running the controller tracking, which makes for some awkward UI about how we have to switch between that, where you can easily imagine wanting to just kind of pick and say, okay, Beat Saber, now I need to grab my controllers. It'd be nice if they were drawn there and you could go pick them up, but we actually have to switch off hand tracking because we use different exposures for tracking the world, tracking the hands, and tracking the controllers. But I can imagine a future headset where you've leaned in more onto using the hand tracking more often, you've used higher refresh rate cameras, and you want to do this continuously for that, because you can make, if you're doing them both at the same time, you can make the controller tracking better by leveraging the hand tracking. I mean, knowing where your hand is or your arm helps when the controller is actually out of view, and that extends all the way to full body tracking. You want to be able to go ahead and get your torso, get your legs when you're looking down, and then if you've got a good kinetic model of the body, even if your controller is back here, we can have a pretty good sense of where it is, and we should just basically never drop the controller at that point. So, and then you can imagine games, like right now, if you've played with the hand tracking, there is more than 80 milliseconds more latency on there than the controller. There's no IMUs in your hand to be able to extrapolate, so it feels a lot more latent than the controllers, but that's something that there's room for improving that. As we get to future things, running the cameras, instead of 30 frames per second, tracking the hands, doing all of the work there, we can get to the point of running 90 frames per second, tracking everything, overlapping the calculation of that with the camera scan in, because you want to get to the point where you could do something like Beat Saber not holding controllers at all, just kind of moving your arms around. And I mean, like, you can imagine at that point throwing high kicks at notes flying by and having full body experiences in a way that you can sort of get with putting controllers on your feet, doing some of the extra tracking things that are interesting.
So this is great because basically they're talking about they're working on technology where you don't have to use any controllers. You can use your feet and your hands without using any accessories. So yeah, that would be really awesome if they did that. Well, hand tracking technology is coming out next year.
Tracking for very precise pupil direction for foveated rendering, then you want to have the cameras focused really just centered around the eyes. But if you choose to, if you want to be able to kind of detect some of the facial signals of smiling and so on, then you'd like to have it pointing down more. And it's an interesting set of trades there where we still have not seen the slam dunk perfect foveated rendering demo of this is absolutely unnoticeable. Even on the PC, where you can throw lots more hardware and have less latency on it, you can still usually kind of see when you glance around. It's blurry for a little instant, and it's going to be worse on mobile because the processing is going to take longer. There's a longer GPU pipeline for the tiled renderers, and it's just going to be a little worse. So it's possible we could put in eye tracking systems, and it turns out not to be that huge of a win for foveated rendering, that you can't dial it down to this super precise focus and save lots of power elsewhere. And it's also kind of the issue that...
So eye tracking focus is going to take time, it seems, especially for wireless, because if you look at something close, then the background would normally blur. But here it's not doing that because it's a digital. It's actually hurting my eyes a bit. But in the real life, of course, the background would blur. So this is something he's saying is going to take a lot of computing power. So not something we're going to see soon, it sounds like.
A number of times when people are scowling or smiling and these subtle things where there's no audio involved, and there's no way that we're going to get that without putting a camera on it for some way. And I'm still somewhat skeptical about the value of those, but again, I've got my place as more isolationist, less sociable for the different things. It may be, it may turn out to be a critical feature for making people having, warm, happy interactions with people. So, and I've got my please wrap up, other sessions are starting. Okay, well, we can carry on in the halls for a little bit. I've got one other thing to get to after this, but I'll be around the rest of the day and available. Thanks, everyone.
Oh, that was a very long keynote and no visuals to support what he's talking about. Whew, you really have to be a VR enthusiast. But interesting talk, but nothing we really learned here compared to yesterday. So let's see what else is happening. So the keynote is a total of 2 hours. It's on mute. Hey guys, what do you think of the first part?
I just got in here. My buddy's at the event. My buddy's like at the event, so I'm just kind of picking up stuff from him.
Nice, cool, awesome.
Did you guys hear about the new Medal of Honor VR coming out?
Sounds interesting.
It's yeah, they were showcasing it yesterday at the event, and it looks amazing.
Cool. So nice immersive experience.
Oh yeah, yeah. They said it's pretty much they're holding up to their old name of Medal of Honor. Just throw VR into it now.
So it'll be set in World War II, is that right?
Yeah, it's World War II.
Yeah, that's going to be insane to go through that in VR, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
Because Star Wars is only what?
I was watching.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was watching them play it yesterday. They gave my buddy, my buddy and like 10 other people were at the event right now, and they gave them the pre-alpha to go play it at their house during the event.
Oh,
So I
nice.
was watching them play it. Yeah.
Cool. Because the Star Wars one I heard is only like 30 minutes, and after that you're done. It's over. You're finished. I mean, what do you think about that?
Which one? The new episode 2?
Yeah, episode 2. I heard it's very short.
I haven't played the episode 1 yet, so I haven't played 1 or 2. So I don't have much input that I can really put on it.
Well, the episode 1
But
takes.
I mean, I wanted to try it.
Episode 1 takes about an hour, but the thing is that you can't do the Beat Saber. There's no lightsaber duels that you can do with people. I don't know if you can do it in the new version, but in the previous one, you only do lightsaber, like some little balls fly around, they shoot lasers at you, and you have to. But it's not like it would have been interesting if we could actually duel like Jedis. That would have been fun.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's why they put the price so low too, as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's what. Here, I'm looking at my store right now. Yeah, it's $10. So. But I mean, it's the same as the first one. The first one's $10 as well too.
Yeah, that's right. But Beat Saber Disco, that sounds really fun. I mean, a whole VR 360 experience, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah. They, well, I know yesterday they talked about the Facebook Horizon coming out.
Right.
And then they talked about, what else they talked about? Stormland, that's coming out, and then the Asgard Wrath, which is coming out.
Yep.
And they announced a bunch of other things too, which I'm not going to announce in here yet. I'm going to kind of keep you guys, because you can't find it anywhere yet, but they announced it at the event yesterday.
Right. I'm looking forward to the hand tracking technology next year in January or something. That's going to be very interesting.
I'm a mixed boat about it, because the hand tracking is only, the sensor bar is in the very front of your headset.
Right.
So if you drop your hands, your headset's not going to pick it up.
It's going to be very interesting. Yeah. I mean, technically you're right. That's right.
Because with my controls, because I'm on the Rift S right now.
Right.
So with my controls, it can control me everywhere I go, But I feel like the sensors, it's only going to control if my hands are right in front of me, and I don't want to keep my hands right here the whole time.
No, of course, that makes sense. Yes.
Now I feel like if they can implement like stuff into it, because I know with the new Quest that they announced yesterday, they're announcing the wired and wireless Quest.
Yes. That will be a new feature.
If they can implement something like that, where it's not only just hand tracking, where they can put like controls in there as well, or external sensors, and yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, for sure. Or maybe there'll be some kind of glove in the future that comes up which has like an internal sensor or something, and I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's certainly interesting to go into the direction of into that direction. I think.
Fucking throwing up gang signs over here. What's you doing?
No idea.
You don't look like a gangster to me, bud. Oh God. Wait. Oh, oh, oh.
Ah, dude. So, what time's the next keynote? Do you guys know?
I do not. Hold on, let me look.
So, what time's the next keynote? Do you guys know?
It's hard to do this. Move. Fucking thing. Let's see. We got. Well, this is from 2 to 3. Yeah, it ends at 3. This is the.
So this will be the next 1 hour one then, I guess.
Let me ask. I'm in Discord with my buddy who's actually at the event, so let me ask him real quick.
Oh, I thought this was over already.
No. It ends at 3. Hey, Al.
Yeah, there's 2 hours, I think, in total.
I guess Al can't hear me. Hold on.
Man, I was bummed to hear that they're going to shut down the Oculus rooms.
Oh, really? They're gonna shut down Oculus rooms. Okay, how was the experience? I never really tried it.
It's pretty cool. It was pretty cool, but they just never did anything with it.
Hey, Albert.
What was Oculus rooms for? I mean, what was the purpose?
Like you could invite 3 of your friends into your room and you could play some board games or watch videos. It was like your own little personal space.
Oh, the thing that they had on the Oculus Go.
Yeah.
Right. Got you.
Yeah, you're not talking about the Oculus Home, like, are you, for like?
Yeah, he's talking about Oculus Rooms, Oculus Home. That's right.
What? Why are they getting rid of that shit?
I don't know.
That's what he said. He said they didn't have enough people using it. They're going to end it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, at least it will make way for hopefully better experiences, I guess.
I just got done finished building my room too. Damn it. Oh well.
Hey, did you guys did you know, like, are you guys on Quest?
No,
Yeah.
I'm on the Rift S.
I'm on Quest here.
Okay, so they did the update for the TV app, right? They got that Fandango app.
Right.
And then if you go to this thing called Movies Anywhere, and if you bought any videos like on iTunes or Google Play or Amazon, you can watch all those now on the headset.
Oh, okay. So it's an app, movies on the go, without having to re-download new movies on their app.
Yeah, it just basically takes all those any movie you bought on all those services, and it puts them all into anyone. So if you go when you use the Fandango app, anything you've bought off iTunes or whatever, it's in there.
Right. So you can stream them. You can download them directly with the headset. You don't download them on a computer and then put them in a folder.
Yeah, it just streams them.
Just streams them.
So
Right. Right.
I linked my iTunes account to it, and I have like 150 movies now.
Oh, that's really good. So it's all in one place. That's yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
But I don't know. They said about later on they're going to make it where you can watch movies together in the TV app. So I don't know how that's going to work with the content that you brought.
Right. Yeah. Unless they hook up, let's say, with someone like Big Screen, or if they have to create their own version of.
Yeah, I think right now you can watch movies together on Oculus TV on the Go, but it's not supported on the Quest yet.
Why you look like you're puffing out your chest hella hard, my guy? I think so. Can we switch sides?
Am I guy?
Oh! We gotta switch. It's okay. I don't even remember what the hell I look like. It's okay. I'm trying to ask my buddy who's at the event when the next keynote is. Let's see.
Yeah, I thought this thing was over.
No. It ends at 3, so I don't know. I mean, it's 2:45 now.
I think
Yeah, I
it's
thought all the
over.
other.
I used I as a big screen and go to Oculus Venue, and I couldn't go to Oculus Connect. So I think it's over.
Yeah,
God damn.
I think all the other things are just events for the developers. Well, the big screen developers said they were gonna, after the event, they were gonna talk. So I don't know if they ever did or not.
I don't think so. Well, there's also another event. I'm trying to find it. I don't think it already happened. I'm looking.
Yeah, I went to the last developer thing. It was pretty cool. They were taking questions from people in rooms.
Well, there's supposed to be a event too with the SDK developers, and that was supposed to be the day. I don't know. Well, it was an interview like this, kind of like we'd all just be sitting, kind of watching stuff, and it was in the big screen.
Yeah, that's where they said they're gonna get soft drinks.
Yep. Matter of fact, where's my popcorn? There we go. Had to get my popcorn out. I don't know. Oh! No! What? What?
Man, you know what I would like to see them do? I would like to see them have a room like this, but without that
No.
table and just let you be able to sit on the floor. Like have a big room like this
Let me move my
without that big
screens.
table, and just have like a bunch of bean bags where you can just sit on the floor.
All right.
Yeah, you can.
Oh shit, he's walking away. Dude, you were tall as hell. Yeah, so my buddy said, he said, I asked him when the next keynote was. He said it just finished up. It was just talking about the VR and stuff like that. Let's see. Are they done? Let's see. I'm trying to see if they're fully done with it or not. Is he jerking off his popcorn?
So I'm not really enthused about that virtual world they're working on. I think it looks kind of stupid.
Which one is that? I didn't see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. I heard a little bit about it, but I guess.
There's a video from the Adam Savage, the tested dudes. They're there now. They did a video last night, but I haven't watched it. Yeah. Yeah, big screen's supposed to be getting like a YouTube player and everything. Well, I think if you're on the computer, but not like on the Quest.
Yeah, because I'm on my computer right now, so like I can just shoot. Like if I'm in my room, I can just shoot whatever I want up onto the screen.
Yeah, if we was in a room, you could play that tested the tested thing.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever's on my monitor screens, I can have up on the big screen.
Hook it up, Gearhead. Make a room.
Alrighty. Let me see here. I'm guessing I have to add all of you guys.
Do you see the screen? No. All right.
All right. Well, how do I add you?
Just make it open.
Oh, just make it open. Okay.
Yeah, name it like OC6 tested.
Okay. I'll do that.
All right, I'm gonna go to his room, guys. Come on over there if y'all want to watch that video. I thought he was gonna name it OC6 tested or something like that.
All right. Stupid fucking question. How do I open my room? Like, how do I change the name and open my room? Because I couldn't find the controls for it.
Hold on, now, I'm on a Quest, so I've never done it before. Let me go in my room. Let me go to my room and see if I can figure it out. I'll be back.
Yeah, I just couldn't find the controls in the app. This is only like my first time. This is my first time using it like socially, so I never worried about that stuff. All right.
No, it ended.
Okay, thanks. Good to know. Too late.
No, but I was into home also. And uh, I think that they spoke more for the developers than the community, like the gamers. Like the first day was releases, was games that were coming out, was that they were going to launch the cable to make PC VR and tracking. At least it didn't stop like yesterday.
Gearhead has opened a room now on the social. I was here. You had to restart the whole thing. I think now it's available again on the social. The name was OC6, but now it's down again. So I think he has some problems. I think he has to restart every now and then. It was, but he had to reboot, so then we were left in a private room. Exactly. Yeah, I try it every now and again. I really like it. I think it's a great platform. I agree. when it comes to the technology, I have to say I'm really impressed of them pushing the boundaries of what is possible on this headset, especially on Quest. I agree. And you, anything in particular you liked?
Guys, it is open in social OC6 room.
Okay, let's go there.
What's up, bud? I don't know where the other guy went. Nah.
Man, I got lost.
Oh. All right. So what are we watching here?
Look for Adam Savage tested. It's called Projections. That's the name of the show.
Come on, it's Darth. It is fucking. Over the left.
No, you was right by it. Go to the right again. Yeah, right there.
Upload date.
Yep, that'll work.
Nope. Nope.
Try this week. To the left.
Yeah, I'll just do that.
There it is, right there.
The top one?
Nope, right under the T. Well, yeah, all those three right there are from.
Can you guys hear it or no?
Nope.
No.
Shit. Just have it coming through my Rift, right? I'm saying the playback. Where?
Now you remember Medal of Honor?
Change it to
This
what?
is a game 20 years
Is it
ago.
to
Came out on the PlayStation
OCC
1.
talk?
I jumped on board the series
Okay.
for the follow-up Allied Assault, which was on PC exclusively. But what I remember that game being is the most cinematic first-person shooter that I'd ever played. I mean, that Normandy mission where
OCC?
you're on the beach and you're dying multiple times.
Six,
and
and then
there's bombs
talk.
going everywhere, and your
OC6 talk.
comrades are going everywhere. This is this terrific game that was groundbreaking at the time.
And it really spawned a whole generation of World War II FPS games.
There you go.
From Call of Duty, which was a lot of that. Those developers went to form Infinity Ward, to Dave Defeat. A lot of the World War II games we love from the classic PC era. And then those devs, of course, left Infinity Ward.
I need to turn it up or down. Just let me know, guys.
Which does Titanfall.
Oh, you're good.
Legends, and they've been working on this game for almost 3 years now. Medal of Honor returned to that franchise now that they're.
Yeah, this is the new Medal of Honor game that they were showing.
Full game.
It's kind of cool that this game that was at the sort of very beginnings of the cinematic World War II, FPS era, is now at the beginning of the VR era, kind of doing the same thing, innovating again. And I think a lot of people are thinking, what took so long? Like this is a first-person shooter, proper AAA first-person shooter that's finally on a VR platform. These things take time.
Yeah, we got a briefing about the game. I actually got to play some of it, and he told us this is going to be a 10 to 12-hour game. 50 plus.
They always get to play stuff early.
Tons of art assets up.
Oh yeah.
Over 180 people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Was released.
Yeah, and we have a ton of FPS shooters in VR right now, from very realistic tactical military shooters.
What
like
the fuck are you two
Onward and
doing over there?
Pavlov, to more running
Come
gun
on.
action shooters like
Great
Robo.
multiplayer games,
Yes,
for
with
sure.
Recall and
It isn't
Single
clean.
player campaigns that are this detailed take a lot of time to develop.
And the question is, what makes a Medal of Honor game a Medal of Honor game?
Oh,
and what
God.
can VR bring to it? Well, I chatted with the games director, Peter Hirschman, about their philosophy in game design and approach to this game. So let's take a listen. All right, so we had a chance to chat with Peter here, game director of Medal of Honor, Above and Beyond.
Disappointed they didn't say nothing about the climb game.
Yes, yes. Finally, after a couple of years working in secret, we're finally able to reveal it. So today's been.
What did I miss? Did I miss anything good in day 2?
They're just talking about the new Medal of Honor VR coming out that they announced at the
That looks so.
Connect 6 event.
That looks awesome.
World War II games.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us worked on those original set of games from the very
Just
first one.
kind of made this room because a lot of people, I saw a lot of people missed the Connect 6 event.
Yeah.
So just kind of taking requests of what you guys might want to look at, stuff like that.
It's a real privilege and it's super fun.
That is so incredible that they're having hand tracking next year.
I'm mixed feelings about it, honestly.
I bet that's why the climb got pushed back. I bet you they're going to wait for hand tracking.
Fun versus realism.
Yeah.
Always wins. And for us,
Possibly. It'd be nice if they said, though, I mean, it was supposed to be out when Quest launched, and it still hasn't been talked about.
And it's not, you take a bullet one time on the battlefield, you're pretty much done. So it's about getting the details right, about not embellishing what's happening. We like to say that if you have to make zombies out of the Nazis.
Yeah, because I've played the climb and it's all right.
Or mechs, you're reading.
Yeah, if you get the Connect for Quest, you'll be able to use it. But the whole idea of having the Quest, at least for me, was not to be tethered.
Fighting force the planet's ever seen. And
Holy
they were a force
shit!
of evil.
There's actually a guy next to me, not you.
That's pretty scary
him.
in its own right. So we want to make that feel as authentic as
Look at that. That's
possible.
awesome. You see him bending down and stuff.
But
Oh, yeah.
realism often isn't fun. Authenticity is.
And part of that, now you have motion control.
And it's still only in pre-alpha now.
Environment, but also your weapon.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. Hopefully.
Oh yeah,
they
for a
promote
pre-alpha,
it.
this looks really good for a pre-alpha.
How much you want to shortcut the gamer? Like you can press a trigger and a knife will throw, or you can throw it. Same thing with holstering. Like I can let go of the gun.
So that's funny. I need some headphones like
That's a
that
great
for my
example.
Rift
We
S.
are always trying to be pro gamer with everything. Whenever you try to do something realistic, the question is, why do you hate the game?
Yeah, if there's anything else you guys want to watch too, just let me know.
So we learn that.
That's cool. I have a Quest. I don't have to buy the Rift S now because of the link. I just got to get computer now.
Bang, 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 the Nazis.
Yeah.
Putting it back isn't as fun.
To buy play Rift games.
Trying to get it right. So we just after you're done firing it, all you gotta do is let go, and it flies back. And that's certainly
just a little.
Not realistic, but
just a little one.
It's very
About
pro
maybe 1100 for a decent computer.
move on to the next thing.
I think I've just finished building mine for about $2,000.
From the other side, and it's about
that's good.
giving the player those
I really
fun
want to
moments and
just get a
taking away
laptop.
as much of the
That's what
sort
I
of
had. I had
realistic
the MSI Raider series. I had that for a while.
Reloading has become a very fun thing in VR. People play a lot of those realistic, more simulator type games.
Yeah, they're
Love
expensive.
copying
You're
the
pretty much just paying for the
pistol
name
and
at that point.
moving the clips
Yeah,
of the
it's like buying a
magazine.
Harley
Some of
bike.
that needs.
Yeah,
I just really
every
don't want
weapon
another
has
PC.
its own
You know, I don't want a big
and one of the
box.
things that it allows us to do is
Exactly.
Well, see, well, that's why I got my
storytelling
slim
and
box.
what
You
the
know,
people actually fighting
it's
in the
not all that
war,
big.
experience. So, a Colt 45 or a Thompson submachine gun, you know, super powerful weapons.
And plus, I don't travel as
you know,
much
with the
anymore as I used
Thompson,
to, so I just figured I might as well
firing
get a
down range,
PC.
you run out of bullets.
Yeah, but
pull out
even
the
in a house,
magazine,
you know,
pull
get
a
tired of the
new one in,
wife bitching
pop
about
it in,
seeing that
charge
box
it,
on
you're back
the
in
media
business. But
center.
you know,
Like he
the
said, I'd
thing
like to
takes
have a laptop.
Yeah, I use
fraction
Macs, but
seconds.
PC
The
just
Quran,
are
M1
same.
Quran, which was the
When I
primary
used to, they were just so
rifle,
dusty.
bang,
They
bang,
just
bang,
got so
it ejects
dirty and
that infield
dusty.
clip automatically. All you gotta do
I
is
agree,
slide
and
the
that's
needle in.
another thing about
And
you
that
know
hopefully
using
tells
Apple
the player,
computers. It
teaches
sucks
players
because
or enlightens
you
them
can't
on
stream, you
why
can't do any of
M1
this
Quran was
through
such
the
a game
Quest
changer,
because
what
it's
was
not
intended,
supported. Even though
why
they
it was
keep
such a
saying they're
key
going to
part of
support
the
it, but
Allied
it never
arsenal,
comes
because it
out.
allowed you
You
to
kind of get screwed if you're an
get
Apple
back
user.
into the battle as quickly as possible. What players will also learn is the downside of that is the Germans learn to listen for that ping. You know, so bang, 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 ping, and when that clip ejected, the Germans knew, oh, that's when we can pop up from cover. That's when we can rush. So our AI, the bad
That looks
guy AI,
fun.
listens for that ping.
It looks pretty good.
And so
Killing
shoot
Nazi
range,
simulator.
clip ejects.
Boo
Germans will
shakalaka.
say to each other,
Man,
yeah,
I bet that shit's intense.
Yeah, it looks intense.
It's going to be interesting if they cave into, you know, pressure from society about that's too realistic. You can't have that.
Oh, it'll happen in some
Violence
places.
and bullshit. You know how that goes.
Maybe leave one bullet left in the clip, switch to a different weapon, and keep going, and then reload that Quran when they've got a little bit of a breather. And that's the fun stuff that starts to develop as you play.
Not sure.
Designed for players that will do
Not
that,
yet.
and
It's
players
coming.
that won't do that, who just want to kind of run the gun and
Ooh, that looks good.
Well, definitely difficulty settings, but you can't.
Is this going to be for the Quest or only the Rift because of the graphics?
Don't know yet.
Because
Oh.
I'll ask my buddy. He's at the event.